welcome to Democracy Daily News. My name is Peggy Schuyler. Today is September 19th, 1796. I hope you're all having a great Monday. Today we'll be discussing the recent Battle of Bassano that occurred yesterday. The French came out victorious over the Austria. We'll have more details on that later. Also, Spain is on the verge of war with England, so we'll have to keep a close eye on what's going on across the ocean. For some hometown news, the recently founded city of Cleveland, Ohio is breaking news. Apparently, George Washington just released a 32-page handwritten address to Americans disclosing that he will not be running for re-election as president in this election of 1796. We're now going to head live to John Church, who is currently in the chamber where Washington's cabinet members and advisors meet, and get more information on this developing story. Thanks, Peggy. You're correct. Today, George Washington's farewell address was printed in Philadelphia's American Daily Advertiser, disclosing that he does not plan on running for a third four-year term as President of the United States of America. Citizens are shocked by this information, and the responses to his address vary person to person. Some people are sad that this great leader will no longer be heading our country, and others may be worried for the future of the USA without his leadership. However, the overwhelming theme and responses to this very recent, shocking news is that of gratification and appreciation to President George Washington for his 8 years of serving and all of the work he has done to improve our young country and citizens. Now for some details on Washington's farewell address itself, so you know exactly what these people are responding to. The piece was 32 pages long. Much of the writing was suggestions from Alexander Hamilton. It was addressed to the people of the United States and began with the salutation, "Friends and fellow citizens." Washington would go on to first announce that he will not accept a third term as president of the country. Then he offers his reflections and comments on the United States. He also attempted to urge us all to stay away from a two-party political system in our future, as well as geographical distinctions. He also warned against forming long-term alliances with other countries. Earlier, I was able to speak momentarily with Alexander Hamilton and ask him some popular questions I had heard a lot of today. As I mentioned, Hamilton played a big role in helping Washington draft this address. Hello, Mr. Hamilton. Thank you for joining us today. I just have a few quick questions about where our country will go from here.
Pleasure to be here, John.
First question. How do you feel about George stepping down from his position as head of our country?
Well, at first I was shocked, as most are, but he told me back in the beginning of the year, so I've had plenty of time to get used to the idea. I definitely feel like he deserves to relax after the many years of stress in his life.
Very true. A very popular question I've been hearing a lot about today after this address was released is who's next? If George Washington is no longer going to be our president, as he was for the last 8 years, who will? I know that you have done a fantastic job as our nation's Secretary of Treasury. Is there any chance of you running for office?
Well, I'm flattered that you would say that, but since I'm not a native-born American, I will not be able to run. But I do speculate that Vice President John Adams will give it a shot, and I have no doubt that Thomas Jefferson is going to run.
Well, we'll have to wait and see this play out in the coming months. Okay, one last question, Mr. Hamilton. What would you like to say to George Washington as one last goodbye message?
I would just like to say thank you for the opportunities that you have given me and for sticking with me even as a young, arrogant kid. Thanks to you, I'll always be aware that history has its eyes on me, and I will not throw away my shot at success.
Thank you. There you have it, folks. That was my exclusive interview with Treasury Secretary Alexander Hamilton. And now you know to keep your eye on Adams and Jefferson in this upcoming presidential election. That's all the information I have on this story at the time, but we'll be sure to keep you up to date as soon as we have any more information. Back to you, Peggy. Thanks for the update on our breaking news, John. Well, I'm shocked. I don't know about you guys at home, but I think I need some time to process this huge announcement. If you just joined us, George Washington will not be accepting a third term as President of the United States, and Alexander Hamilton just informed us of the possibilities of John Adams and Thomas Jefferson running in the upcoming presidential election. Now we're going to go to a short commercial break, and we'll be back soon with today's other news.